storyboard to first draft, and then our final draft. First of all, I'm going to talk about the change that we made from our storyboard to our first draft. So, what I mean is, there wasn't that many changes, but because some things couldn't work out, we did have to change a few things to make our first draft look a bit better. But we didn't change so much. Okay. So the first thing is all these beginning shots here stayed the same, except the timings changed a bit more. Like some of them had to last more, like 4 seconds instead of being 2. So all of the shots were still there. We were still able to get a shot of London. And in some ways, the beginning part stayed the same. So all these shots of people that we had, people send us and what makes them happy, stayed. Except instead of being 1 second, they were a bit more. So they were maybe like 4 seconds each. And there was still the beginning parts all stayed the same, right? Except instead of putting food, we had it with just, it was in a park, so I had shots of different art, because we weren't able to film a food market. So just certain things like that are the ones that changed. And we didn't really get any film of Radcliffe, of the school itself. Instead, we just replaced it with another montage shot that we thought looked better for that. And the Chasing Happiness collage stayed the same, except instead of showing them all come together, we just had it slide in and have the title with all the different montages on it. Everything here stayed the same with Yannick, except some shots, except it started off with a side angle, and that lasted a bit more, and then the rest of them were all just medium close-ups, but we did have more montage shots in between them. And so that's basically how it was. So we didn't really follow how it was here, except we had the basis of what we did in our storyboard in it. Just changed the times and the placements of certain montage shots and angles as well. And another thing that happened was, because we didn't have enough time to do Vox Pops, which we were planning to do when we went to London, but it got dark really early when we filmed for Yannick. So what happened was, instead of that, we just decided to get more videos of people sending us of themselves saying what makes them happy. So that's basically the main thing that happened here. It's just, instead of them being Vox Pop interviews, they were actually videos that people sent to us, which ended up a bit nicer as well, and easier for us. So yeah, the same with Sundari, everything stayed the same. The montage shots pretty much stayed the same. It's just the side angle didn't work out because the camera for the side angle was not turned on throughout the whole interview. So we had to replace them with more montage shots instead, and more shots of medium close-ups. So everything pretty much stayed the same. And the same with these shots here, is they got changed to being just what people sent us. And then with Frederica, everything stayed the same, because we still did have side angles, but the placement, because some of them, they weren't exactly how it was on the storyboard, but they were still in there. So we still had them, but they were just in different places. And we still had montage shots, but some of them were a bit different than what we wrote on our storyboard, which was okay. And so that's basically all we did, but everything else stayed the same. So the main changes were montage shots. So we didn't put the montage shots that we thought we were going to put. We didn't put the exact montage shots that we said on our storyboard, like in our first draft, but they were still in there. We just changed what montage shot that would be, and the side angles and front angles. So we just kind of mixed it up. We didn't follow exactly what was on here, but the main element of our storyboard could be seen in our production itself. And we still did have a voiceover and all that stuff. So it's really just the changing of montage shots and the angles, and we just mixed them up a bit. And that's basically all we changed from the first draft. I mean, from the storyboard to the first draft. So, in simple forms, yeah, not much changed. So it doesn't look completely different. You can look at our storyboard and still say, okay, that it still kind of shows that. So that's basically what it was. Thank you for your time.
From our first draft to our final draft, there were a lot of small, like minor details that we adjusted,
Like
changes to.
the sound of the voiceover and the adjustments of the voices of people when people
Singing.
were talking, with singing to the music and the voiceover to make sure that they were kind of equal.
But there were quite a few like main changes that we made, which are kind of obvious. So as you can see here, we've got like single clips, and what we did, we pushed them together to make thirds of the screen. So there's one clip there, and one there, and one there.
Like
so
this.
As you can see, by cutting them into thirds of the screen, it looks like this, and we think that's a lot better because it saves us more time. It gives us more time to put more important details in, like what the interviewees were saying and stuff like that.
And yeah, we also kind of made it to only 2 sets instead of having it be so long, because if it was so long, it's kind of repetitive, and also we had a time limit and we wanted to cut it down and make it more effective. It was just there for a short period of time.
It's also more interesting to look at as well, so it kind of keeps the attention of the audience, which is important. From our first interview with Yannick, as you can see here, to our second interviewee, Sundari, we decided to remove the score that was playing.
Just because they are more serious interviews, and so we want, and it's unconventional for there to be music behind
The people
people talking, the specific interviewees, and they are very serious, so we want the people to focus on what they were saying, because it really is meaningful. Yeah, and it kind of, by putting music behind it, would have taken away the importance of what they're saying. And also, the different montage shots in the specific interviews, what we did was we made the ambient sound heard. So with this shot, for example, with that shot that I just showed you, as you could see, you could not hear what was going with the ambient noise from that shot. So for all the montage shots, even this one and everything else, we made the ambient sound heard but at a minimal voice, so it kind of blended in with the actual interview to kind of make up for not hearing
it. It added a fluidity throughout the whole opening sequence as well. It made it flow a lot more, which is better for an audience to watch, obviously, because it makes more sense and it's better. Really.
Yeah. So at least there's something other than just hearing the voice.
And then another main thing that we did was that we moved a lot of montage shots around to where we thought they were better suited. An example of this is the Pacific Park one that you saw in the beginning. So over here, we realized it didn't really fit there because because it would be better if that voiceover beforehand, which was talking about art, was under the art one. So we thought it wouldn't really fit. So we took it out instead, and we moved it to the interview with Yannick, where he was talking about a more hedonistic kind of happiness, which is why we thought it was better suited there. It makes more sense if it was there. So in conclusion, a lot of the changes we made was mainly to make the production line just flow a lot better and work more cohesively, all the shots work more cohesively together, instead of looking like they're separate shots just kind of shoved together to fill in time. So we adjusted them around and it ended up looking a lot better.
And also we took out the montage shots that were repetitive just because it's unconventional, and it doesn't give the audience pleasure if they see something again. So I already saw that, so I better focus. So
and it's important because our audience is, we think they're going to be quite an intelligent audience.
Yeah. So they would notice if something was repeated. And so in other words, our final draft has been much better than our first draft. So because of the changes we made. So that's basically it.
Chasing Happiness final